Hello friends, welcome back to another video. Special hello if you are new. My name is Casey and today I'm going to be sharing with you the books that I read in September. If you've seen any of my past video or two, like the 15 of you who watch my videos, thank you. Then you know that I have been dealing with a cold this month. I don't know why, I cannot shake it. I woke up so yesterday I woke up and I felt so good. I felt the best that I had felt in weeks. And I was like, I have finally conquered it and I am on the up and up. And then I woke up at like 4 this morning and just congested, runny nose. I don't know what it is. I cannot shake this cold. I have tried literally so many different types of medicine and like little remedies. I can't shake it. So I'm sorry if you have to deal with my weird voice, sneezing, coughing, sniffling. It's just how it has to be, unfortunately. But anyway, let's get on to the books. In the month of September, I read 5 books. I read 2 physical books and 3 ebooks. So we can go ahead and start with our physical books first. The first physical book that I read was Gulliver's Travels by Jonathan Swift. And I have to say, I didn't really like this one at all. Gulliver's Travels tells the story of Gulliver. He is a ship surgeon, and he basically continually, despite past experiences, keeps going on ships and getting shipwrecked or getting into situations where he is forced to go live for a couple years on these unknown islands. So one is where all of the people on the island are extremely small, like minuscule, and then Gulliver is like this big giant. The next island is the opposite. Everybody is extremely giantish and Gulliver is super tiny. And then he goes onto like a floating island, and then the last one is an island that is the civilized creatures of the island are horses, and then kind of the animals, the wild, crass, just awfully behaved, disgusting creatures are resemble human beings. And I really do appreciate some of the thoughts and commentary and satire toward human nature. Because when I read the first journey of Gulliver's, I was like, yeah, I think I might like this. I think I might enjoy it, because earlier this year I read The Master and the Margarita, which is also satire, and I loved it. So I was starting to think like, oh, maybe I'm really going to enjoy this one. But honestly, as the story went on, I began to like it less and less and less. And I just also find it kind of dumb, like, I know this is like totally irrelevant, but like to consistently get in horrible situations where you're spending years away from your family and you're in these perilous, like dangerous situations, and yet you consistently think like, okay, I'll take another journey. I just think that's silly. I also started to find kind of the ramblings on human nature, especially by the last story. I found them to be really pretentious and self-involved, and it just started completely losing its appeal to me. And by the end, if it hadn't have been the last story and I hadn't have had like under 100 pages left, I probably would not have finished it, because at that point I was just done. I also found different parts of it to be, I don't know if it was supposed to be like humorous or what it was, but they were just like, there were multiple sections that I just didn't enjoy. For example, there's like this part toward the beginning, I think when he's with like the really tiny people, that there is this fire in the palace, and like Gulliver is a giant man. He could have easily went to a water source. He could have taken off his jacket and snuffed out this fire easily, but he decided to like urinate on it to put the fire out. And there were just so many moments like that within the book that were kind of red flags to me, like, hey, you're not going to enjoy this one. And I tried to stick it out, and I did. So I can check this classic off my list, but I will never be coming back to it. And honestly, I don't necessarily know that I would recommend you try it unless like you're super excited for it. So I don't know. That was my experience though. The next physical book that I read was Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. This is one of the most beautifully written books I have ever read. It is one of the most like heartbreaking, like my heart ached from page 1 all the way to the end, because you kind of know a little bit about what's going to happen and how, you know, the characters are going to react to that, how the characters are going to grieve to that, and you just kind of have it looming over your head. But it's just so beautiful when you don't want to stop. I love this, and it kind of reminded me of Claire Keegan's writing. I read Small Things Like These last year, and I think in my review I talked about how it seemed like each word, each phrase, each sentence was so masterfully crafted, and each sentence and word was done with so much intention that it just made for this beautiful reading experience. And I feel very similar to this reading experience. But in case you don't know, Hamnet tells the story of Hamnet, who was William Shakespeare's son. So this is all told through the eyes of Shakespeare's wife, Anne. She's kind of your main character, but in the story she goes by Agnes. Apparently, during this time, names were pretty interchangeable. So in this story, the author decided to call her Agnes, and there's like an author's note that kind of explains why. But Hamnet and let me rewind here. Okay. William Shakespeare and Agnes's son Hamnet dies. We don't actually know the real reason why Hamnet dies, but Maggie O'Farrell took the idea that he died of the plague. So the first half of the book is these two parallel timelines. So you have present day of all the events that are happening to the family, and then you have the past, which is telling William Shakespeare's and Agnes's love story, which I loved, and it was just so beautiful. And again, you're like bouncing back and forth between this beautiful kind of like hopeful little love story to the present, which you know is not going to end well. And then the second half focuses on their grief, and as we know, William Shakespeare also wrote Hamlet, which is interchangeable with Hamnet. Those two names were interchangeable, as well as Anne and Agnes. The ending of this book just blew my mind, and I kind of knew it was going to happen, but just like reading it and being there for it was just amazing. I mentioned in my summer TBR when I was talking about how I wanted to read this book, I was mentioning how I didn't want to see any of the trailer for the film or anything, because I really wanted to like go into this like blind. And I'm really happy that I did. But after I finished it that evening, I went and watched the trailer, and I just had chills the entire time. I cannot wait to see this beautiful story come to life. I'm so excited for it. All right. Moving on to ebooks. The first ebook that I read was A Tartan Love by Nichole Van. This is a Romeo and Juliet-ish, with a happy ending though, love story, and it is set in Regency, Scotland. So it tells the story of Tavish and Isla. They are from two rivaling Scottish families, and it kind of goes into why their families don't get along, but I'm not going to go into that. But basically their families do not get along, and so they're rivals. One day Tavish and Isla kind of meet. They're younger, they form a friendship, and eventually they grow up and fall in love. They decide to get married, and they have a hand fasting. After their hand fasting, this wild kind of chain of events happens, and Tavish ends up going away to the war, which is extremely upsetting to Isla. And she basically tells him, like, do not contact me. I don't ever want to like speak to you again. My hair, sorry. But basically she just tells him, like, I never want to speak to you again. I don't, yada yada. So he goes away to war. He doesn't really know how to contact her anyway. They don't make up. Years later, like I think it's 5 to 7 years later, Tavish is back, and now the two of them haven't communicated in all this time, and they're trying to navigate their feelings for one another, as well as potentially dissolve their marriage without their families knowing that they got married. I just love this book. I thought that it was just so atmospheric. I just pictured myself there in the Scottish landscape so well. And also, I love when characters yearn. and Tavish is a man who yearns. So if you are like a Conrad Fisher girly, or if you love like season 2 of Bridgerton, then I feel like you would really enjoy this, because this is just a man who just loves her so much. It was just really good and really well done. And again, you know, when you go into these romances, like, yeah, I know how it's going to end more than likely, but the way that it all played out and stuff was really, really well done and kind of unpredictable, and I just really recommend it. The next ebook that I read was Wild Card by Elsie Silver. This is the last book in the Rose Hill series, and this is the newest book that she has released. So this is a trope that I didn't think I would like. It is a ex's dad trope. And when I kind of read that, I was like, I don't think that's for me. But I really loved Elsie Silver's writing, so I was like, I will give it a try. And I feel like it was just really tastefully done. The two characters meet like a year before the female character dates his son, and it's like a weird situation. I don't want to spoil anything, so I won't go into too much detail, but they meet in an airport. They have layovers overnight, and they just spend the evening together getting to know each other, and they try to exchange contact information, and obviously that doesn't work. So they end up running into each other. It's like a year or quite a few months after they had met that initial night, and then they have to try to like navigate their feelings and the circumstance together. I just, again, I thought it was done really tastefully, and it wasn't just like slapping on this trope just because. I really love the way that Elsie Silver writes community. So her books are all interconnected standalones, and they all, you know, go through like siblings and friends, and I just love the way that she writes about community. And this one was one of my favorites because I loved the found family element of it, not just with the couple, but also with like some other characters in the story. And I adore Elsie Silver. She's just kind of the perfect little escape palette cleanser read, and I can't wait for her new series to come out. I think it comes out in the spring. The last book that I read in September was The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Laurie Gilmore. This is a Hallmark movie meets Gilmore Girls type thing. It is pretty cheesy, and I feel like if you don't enjoy Hallmark movies, honestly, I'm not a big Hallmark movie person, so I was kind of surprised that I ended up liking it as much as I did, but if you like those types of stories, then you will like this one. If you don't like those types of stories, then I don't think that you would like this one. But basically, it tells the story of I've already forgotten names. They just fall out of my head so quickly after I finish a book, unless it really like gets me, like Hamnet or A Tartan Love. I will remember characters. But anyway, it tells the story of our two characters, and our female character is moving to the town, and she is taking over her aunt's cafe. Her aunt's retiring, so she's taking it over. She has been a businesswoman in Boston, and she's trying to leave that life and settle down for a slower pace. And then our male character has been spurned by love, and was delivering like vegetables or produce or something to the cafe, and they meet. And they fall in love, and they have to try to navigate their past and their kind of basically emotional baggage. And there's also like someone who's messing with the cafe, and we have to try to figure out, they're trying to figure out like who is trying to sabotage like her running of the cafe. Like I said, it was good. It was fun. It was lighthearted. It was a great palate cleanser. It was good. It was very formulated though, and I think that did take away from it. I was also reading Hamnet at the time that I was reading it, so I think that also could have hurt my reading experience. But I've kind of found with interconnected standalones, especially, the first one's always just okay. You're kind of like easing into it. And then they just get better and better as they go on. So I'll definitely be reading more of the series. I think the next one, it's like the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, whichever one is next, something like that. But I know it's about a bookstore. So I did get it on my Kindle. So I will definitely be giving it a go, and then just kind of seeing how I feel about it will kind of decide if I continue on with the rest of the series. As for a little reading update on what I'm currently reading, I'm still working through the Alexander Hamilton biography. I don't think I've really read much since I last talked about it. I'm like 25% in. I'm still enjoying it, but I was trying to finish up my summer TBR, so it kind of just got shelved. I did read some more on it the other night, and hopefully I'll pick up. I don't even know. Hopefully I will pick it up and come back to it some more in October. I've also started The Old Ways by Robert Mcfarlane. I'm not too far into it, but I'm enjoying it very much. There are some times when he's talking more like geography wise that it's kind of just like going over my head, and it's just stuff that honestly I don't really care to commit to memory or to take in too much. But kind of his musings on his journeys and his thoughts have been wonderful. And I feel like this is going to be a really healing journey. So basically, the plot of this is Robert Mcfarlane is a nature writer, and it's kind of just his journeys on foot, his journeys through walking through different ancient landscapes. There's a lot of, who's the poet? I think it's Dylan Thomas. No. It's not. It's Edward Thomas. There's a lot of references to Edward Thomas in here. So I've not read any of his poetry, but I'm excited to now. So if you are a big Edward Thomas fan, then I think that you would probably really like this. And then because I was kind of reading 2 nonfiction books, and I've been reading so much on my Kindle, which is wonderful, but I kind of want to be reading the physical books that I own. I decided I need something a little bit more like lighthearted and not as like mentally taxing to read. So I have chosen to read A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. This is the first book of the saga of the Unfated. I think that this book is beautiful. I love these sprayed edges. Like, they are so like glittery almost. I love them. I'm not very far into this one. I think I'm like 3 chapters, and I was reading it I'm 4. I was reading it last night. I was exhausted, and I was just going to read 1 chapter before I went to bed. But the way the chapter ended, I was like, okay, I'll do 1 more. So I think that I might like be very entertained by this one. I took a really long break from romantasy because I think I was just getting really burnt out on it, and all of the books were they were seeming so similar. So I've read some like YA fantasy romantasy during this break, but this is my first like foray back into the genre. So I don't know, it kind of felt like slipping into like a warm cozy bath, or like a favorite sweater, like coming back to it and kind of reading it. So I'm hoping that I really enjoy this one. I love the TV show Vikings. I was obsessed with Ragnar when it was on. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna expose myself a little bit. I have a whole secret Pinterest board dedicated to him because I loved him so much. And unfortunately, the hero is described as dark with dark hair, so it's hard to like, I can't really picture Ragnar, but I really think that I will enjoy this one, so I will report back when I have it finished. Alright friends, thank you so much for being here and listening to me babble on about the books that I read. The sun is starting to come in and be a little bit weird, but I just really appreciate your time, and I will see you very soon in another video.